This series is dedicated to reading role-playing game manuals and learning how to play them. Each video will show a different chapter. Each page will be read in order as best as I am able to follow. Let's begin. As a cyberpunk, you grab technology by the throat and hang on. You've got interface plugs in your wrists, weapons in your arms, lasers in your eyes, biochip programs in your brain. You become the car you drive, the gun you shoot. With cyborged fingers, you pick computer locks. With enhanced senses, you see into the future. Section 1. Soul and the New Machine. The world of cyberpunk is a violent, dangerous place, filled with people who'd love to rip your arm off and eat it. The traditional concepts of good and evil are replaced by the values of expedience. You do what you have to survive. If you can do some good along the way, great, but don't count on it. Cyberpunk characters are survivors in a tough, grim world, faced with life and death choices. How they make these choices will have a lot to do with whether they end up as vicious animals roaming a ruined world, or retaining something of their basic humanity. Cyberpunk characters are the heroes of a bad situation, working to make it better, or at least survivable, whenever they can. Whether it takes committing crimes, defying authority, or even outright revolution, the quintessential cyberpunk character is a rebel with a cause. As a cyberpunk roleplayer, it's up to you to find that cause and go to the wall with it. Always take it to the edge. It's the cyberpunk way. Johnny Silverhand. This is the essence of a cyberpunk, playing your character with the proper disaffected, cynical yet idealistic style. Whether you're a biker with leathered skin and metal claws, or a debutante in satin sporting the latest in designer cyber optics, you're going to need a certain panache, a certain flair in portraying yourself. To achieve the essence of the 2000s, you need to master these three concepts. The view from the edge. I'm not a man or a machine. I'm just something in between. I'm all love, a dynamo, so push the button and let me go. Loving every minute of it. 1984, Zumba Enterprises, Incorporated. ASCAP. So you want to be a cyberpunk, or maybe just look like one. Before you pitch off your sleep mat and jump in, there's a few things we need to tell you. First of all, the name, cyberpunk, comes from two words. Cyber, from the term cybernetic or a fusion of flesh and machine technology, and punk, from an early 1980s rock music style that epitomized violence, rebellion, and social action in a nihilistic way. The term was popularized in the pre-collapse days by a group of writers who specialize in writing science fiction with this kind of techno-melange. Their works featured a streamlined blend of rock, pop, sex, drugs, and the highest, hippest technology, usually grafted onto your body somewhere. The archetypal cyberpunk heroes of the 80s range from techno-barbarians roaming a post-Holocaust world to cyber-chip jet-setters with designer bodies. Of course, from our enlightened viewpoint here in 2020, this all looks pretty dated. After all, you probably accessed this article from your personal database comp. You use the Kiyoshiro 1300A interface cable with a direct link from your wrist plugs. You're used to hard writing into the appliances to make coffee, studding into the Benz to drive down to the corner store. But understand, in 1987, this was all considered pretty visionary stuff. No one had plugs. You couldn't dial Luna on the cellular. Designer drugs were illegal. You could walk down most city streets without an armor jacket. There wasn't even a net. Now we know better. History books can tell you in detail about the crash of 1994, when the Euro Combines established the World Stock Exchange, and the economies of the United States and old Sov Russia collapsed. In those days, both were ranked as superpowers, instead of a couple of overarmed second-raters waving nuclear weapons around under the watchful eye of the Aerospace Defense Agency. As long as the Tycro mass drivers are ready to throw rocks at Moscow and Washington, we'll probably avoid having the nuclear war everyone's been expecting since 1944. After all, rocks are cheap. Now, of course, everything more or less is run by corporations, which are pretty much governments in and of themselves. You can go anywhere on one passport. One worldism at its best. The currencies of most nations are stabilized to each other, and the euro-dollar is a world currency. Hardly anyone complains anymore about corporate lifetime contracts or the abolition of unions. It's the price of living in a stable, safe society, right? After all, you could be living in the projects. 16 people to an apartment, sharing ration chips every week to buy food, with 8,000 apartments per city block? Sure, it isn't the best life, what with the booster gangs roaming the malls and the major league crime problems, but it beats actually being on the street. At least the mega arcologies have cops. Okay, rented corporate cops, but it's easier than fronting the euro for your own personal solo. Besides, the media nets make sure that every apartment has direct cable access to TV, radio, and sensory feed, so there's always something to do on a Saturday night. Where were we? Oh yeah, you want to be a cyberpunk. Here's more background for you to think over. When the grand old masters of the movement first started writing the cyberpunk genre, they assumed that most of the things they wrote about would either never happen or would happen in the far future. No one knew that the West Germans were already developing organic circuitry in the late 1980s, or that the United States Air Force was developing mentally controlled weapon systems. Synthetic myomer muscle fibers were just starting to be used to control prosthetics, and very few people could project ahead into the 1990s, when organic chipped arms and legs would be possible. There were a few primitive experiments with bioengineering, things like frostband, and a few new types of corn, nothing like the bioengineered animals that we'll use to terraform the Martian colonies. It took about 15 years for the new tech to catch up with the vision. First, the military started using cyber technology to create perfect soldiers and pilots. Some of the spin-off led to prosthetic limbs, eyes, and other body parts. Organic circuitry led to direct hookups between men and computers. Combined with advanced telecommunications technology and satellite downlinks, the basis for the now planet-wide net was established. As each new technological advancement slammed into place, a sort of cultural techno-shock set in. 1. Style over substance. It doesn't matter how well you do something, as long as you look good doing it. If you're going to blow out, make sure you look like you planned it that way. Normally, clothes and looks don't matter in adventure. In this world, having a leather armor jacket and mirror shades is a serious consideration. 2. Attitude is everything. It's truth. Think dangerous, be dangerous. Think weak, be weak. Remember, everyone in the 2000s is carrying lots of lethal hardware and high-tech enhancements. They won't be impressed by your new H&K smart gun unless you swagger into the club looking like you know how to use it, and are just itching for an excuse. Never walk into a room when you can stride in. Never look at someone unless you can make it your best killer look. Use your best "I'm bad and you aren't" smile. Don't sit around the flat or cube waiting for the next job. Get on out and hit the clubs and hangouts. Make sure you're where the party starts. 3. Live on the edge. The edge is that nebulous zone where risk takers and high riders go. On the edge, you'll risk your cash, your rep, even your life on something as vague as a principle or a big score. As a cyberpunk, you want to be the action, start the rebellion, light the fire. Join great causes and fight for big issues. Never drive slow when you can drive fast. Throw yourself up against danger and take it head on. Never play it too safe. Stay committed to the edge. Roles, the core of cyberpunk role-playing. The world of cyberpunk is a combination of savage, sophisticated, modern, and retrograde. Fashion model, beautiful techies rub shoulders with battle-armored road warriors, all of them making the scene in the hottest dance clubs, sleaziest bars, and meanest streets this side of the post-Holocaust. Each character in this world is playing a role, a face that person projects to the outside world as the real thing. There are 9 roles in cyberpunk: rocker boys, solos, netrunners, corporates, techies, cops, fixers, medias, and nomads. As a cyberpunk player, you must select one role for your character. Special abilities. Special abilities are skills usable only by specific character roles. For example, rocker boys have the special ability of charismatic leadership, which represents the vast amount of power they have over their legions of fans. When using a special ability, you will add its value to the specific stat as if it were a skill. Rocker boy special ability, charismatic leadership. This skill allows the rocker to sway crowds equal to his ability level squared times 200. Solo special ability, combat sense. Added to all initiative and awareness checks, this makes the solo the fastest reacting person in any situation. Netrunner special ability, interface. This skill reflects the Netrunner's ability to manipulate interface programs and is the skill used when operating menu functions such as locate remote, run software, control remote, LDL link, load, create, and delete. Other players can enter the net but can't use the menu. Techie special ability, Jerry Rig. This general repair skill allows the techie to temporarily repair or alter anything for 1d6 turns per level of skill. MedTech special ability, Medical Tech. This is the skill used to perform major surgeries and medical repairs. Media special ability, Credibility. The ability to have people believe what you are saying while in your on-air persona. Cop special ability, Authority. The ability to intimidate or control others through your position as the lawman. Corporate special ability, Resources. This represents the corporate's ability to command corporation resources. It is used as a persuasion skill based on the scale of resources requested. Fixer special ability, Street Deal. The ability to locate people, information, etc. This is a higher form of making a connection, Life Path page 27. Instead of knowing only one person, you have connections everywhere. In gameplay, a successful use of Street Deal allows you to locate and acquire a desired person, place, or thing. Nomad special ability, Family. This allows the Nomad to call in as many family members to aid him as his current family ability level times 2. Technoshock. When technology outstrips people's ability to comprehend or fit it into their lives. Suddenly people freak out, they get irrational, violent. Families shatter, relationships tear apart. People feel helpless in the face of the universe. Eventually, the whole society grinds to a halt, the victim of a mass psychosis. That's what we now call the collapse. There were 3 major responses to Technoshock. The vast majority of people, their lives uprooted and changed by the advancements, sat passively waiting for their leaders to tell them what to do next. One smaller group tried to turn back the clock, founding the basis for what we call the Neo-Luddite movement. The remaining group, they decided to hit the future head-on. With the old 1980s visionary writings as their guide, they established the movement we now call Cyberpunk. Okay, so now you're ready. As a cyberpunk, you grab technology by the throat and hang on. You're not afraid to check out the newest in enhancements, cybertech and bioengineering. You've got interface plugs in your wrists, weapons in your arms, lasers in your eyes, biochip programs in your brain. You become the car you drive, the gyro you fly, the guns you shoot. You dive headfirst into the net, using your mind to hurtle at light speed all over a vast network of data fortresses and artificial intelligences. With cyborg fingers, you pick computer locks. With enhanced senses, you see into the future. Cyberpunk is also an attitude. You wear the most in clothes, know the right people, and follow the right crowds. You plan your crimes in the most select clubs and bars. Your enemies are corporate armies, cyborg bike gangs, power-armored assassins, and computer-wired netheads. Your weapons are nerve, street smarts, bravado, and the Minami 10 smart gun on your hip. Are you ready now? Of course you are. You can't wait. Now you're cyberpunk. Rocker boys, rebel rockers who use music and revolt to fight authority. If you live to rock, this is where you belong. Rocker boys are the street poets, social consciousness, and rebels of the 2000s. With the advent of digital porta studios and garage laserdisc mastering, every rocker with a message can take it to the street, put it in the record stores, bounce it off the comsats. Sometimes, this message isn't something the corporations or the government wants to hear. Sometimes, what you say is going to get right in the faces of the powerful people who really run this world. But you don't care, because as a rocker boy, you know it's your place to challenge authority, whether in straight-out protest songs that tell it like it is, or just by playing kick-ass rock and roll to get the people away from the TV sets and into the streets. You have a proud history as a rocker boy. Dylan, Springsteen, Who, Elvis, the Stones, the legions of hard rock heroes who told the truth with screaming guitars and gut-honest lyrics. As a rocker boy, you have the power to get the people up, to lead, inspire, and inform. A song from you can give the timid courage, the weak strength, and the blind vision. Rocker boy legends have led armies against corporations and governments. Rocker boy songs have exposed corruption, brought down dictators. It's a lot of power for a guy doing gigs every night in another city, but you can handle it. After all, you came to play. I always knew what I had to do. It was really obvious. There were these scum out there who were messing with the world. They were killing people, raping the land, and lying in our faces when we caught them. So I decided I had to put the heat on them and make them sweat. That's why I became a rocker boy. Music always gets hammered down to the 3 A's: acts, attitude, and audience. Me, I had an axe and an attitude. All I had to do was get the third one. Carrie Uridine, rocker boy. Solos, hired assassins, bodyguards, killers, soldiers. You were reborn with a gun in your hand, the flesh and blood hand, not the metallic weapons factory that covers most of your other arm. Whether as a freelance guard and killer for hire, or as one of the corporate cyber soldiers that enforce business deals and the company's black operations, you're one of the elite fighting machines of the cyberpunk world. Most solos have put in military time, either in a corporate army or in one of the government's continual police actions around the world. As the battle damage piles up, you start to rely more and more upon your hardware. Cyber limbs for weapons and armor, bioprogram chips to increase your reflexes and awareness, combat drugs to give you that edge over your opponents. When you're the best of the best, you might even leave the ranks of corporate samurai and go Ronin. Freelancing your lethal talents as a killer, bodyguard, or enforcer to whoever can pay your very high fees. Sounds good? There's a price, a heavy one. You've lost so much of your original meat body that you're almost a machine. Your killing reflexes are so jacked up that you have to restrain yourself from going berserk at any moment. Years of combat drugs taken to keep the edge have given you terrifying addictions. You can't trust anyone. Your mother, your friends, your lovers, no one. One night you sleep in a penthouse condo in the city, the next in the filthy alley on the street. But that's the price of being the best, and you're willing to pay it because you're a solo. After I got out of the army, I had this problem. I was good at what I did, but no one was hiring. I mean, what do you do when you're a highly trained killer with a background in demolitions? Read the want ads? After a few months on the street, I got into a dust down with the local booster lord. I flatlined him and went back to my drink. Within 10 minutes, the recruiter from Militech came up to me and dropped a business card. Now I'm a company man. The pay's good, the work's steady, and they pay me for my spare parts. So far, I'm still alive. So far, so good. Morgan Blackhand. Netrunners, cybernetic computer hackers. At 3, your parents bought you an old Apple IV GS with a Radius 241 wall screen, and your life was changed. By 5th grade, you'd already mastered everything the school computer literacy lab could throw at you. You were already using C and Metalingua to crack the district's mainframe and change your grades. When you were 13, you shifted enough funds out of unprotected Trans-American bank accounts to finance your first neural interface plugs. Now nothing can stop you. With your direct mental link to the computer, you can plunge headfirst into the dizzying data winds of the net, the worldwide telecommunications system that joins humanity together. As an electronic wraith, you are the ultimate hacker, your brain wired into special modems and computer links. You slip into the hardest mainframe systems with ease. Your defense and offense programs are arrayed at a touch of your mental fingertips. A quick jolt of demon or vampire and the data fortresses fall. EBM, ITT, Sony Matsushita Ford, you've tackled them all, buying, trading, and selling their deepest secrets at will. Sometimes you uncover important things, corporate treachery or deadly secrets, but that's not why you netrun. You live for the new program, the next satellite downlink, the next piece of hot data that comes your way. It's only a matter of time, you think. Every year, the counter-intrusion programs get better, the artificial intelligence is smarter. Sooner or later, a faster program or programmer is going to catch up, reach out with electronic fingers through your interface plugs, and stop your heart. But time's on your side, and until the ride runs out, you'll be there, bare-brained and headfirst in the net. You guys who live in real space, you move so slow. Me, I like net space. It moves fast. You don't get old, you don't get slow and sloppy. You just leave the meat behind and go screaming. First system I ever hit, I think they had some Weefle Runner playing Sysop for them. I burned in, jolted the guy with a borrowed Hellbolt, and did the major plunder action all over the data fortress. Somewhere out there is a guy with half his forebrain burned out. I wonder if they ever found the body. I wonder if they'll ever find mine the same way. Spider Murphy. Techies, renegade mechanics, and doctors. You can't leave anything alone. If it sits near you for more than 5 minutes, you've disassembled it and made it into something new. You've always got at least 2 screwdrivers and a wrench in your pockets. Computer down? No problem. Hydrogen burner out in your metro car? No problem. Can't get the video to run or your interface plugs feedbacking? No problem. You make your living building, fixing, and modifying a crucial occupation in a technological world where no one person really knows how half the stuff works. You can make some good bucks fixing everyday stuff, but for serious money, you need to tackle the big jobs. Illegal weapons, illegal or stolen cybertech, corporate espionage and counter-espionage gear for the big boys' black operations. Neat little gadgets like thermite bombs and the hunter-killer robots for the occasional termination. If you're any good, you're making a lot of money, and that money goes into new gadgets, hardware, and information. You'll buy almost any new thing because it might have a dozen side applications you can use. Of course, your black market work isn't just making you friends. It's also racking up an impressive number of enemies as well, people who've run into your handiwork and resented it. So you'll invest a lot in defense systems and, if really pushed to the wall, call in a few markers on a solo or two. Your cousin down the street is just like you, but he's a med techie. In a world where half of medicine is related to mechanics, it makes sense. He can do a black market surgical technique faster than you can fix a toaster, and the solos are always running to him to patch up wounds or install new illegal cybernetics. He's got a lot of the same problems you have, but he's hoping his new job with Trauma Team Incorporated will loosen things up. You hope he's right. You may be needing his services sooner than you think. So, you want me to build a delay switch into the thing, and you don't care about the explosion radius? No problem, at least you got a simple job. Last guy in here, he wanted me to build him a cyber hand that had a built-in... frack. You don't want to know. People want the weirdest stuff these days. I hear, with the new cyberware they're coming up with in Chiba, you're gonna be able to cram your body with more options than a frackin' Mercedes Aerodyne. No problem. If you can get parts, I can fix it. Count on it, Chumbada. Mr. Ice, Head of Design Technics, Incorporated. Medias, newsmen and reporters who go to the wall for the truth. They're bending the truth out there, and you're going to stop them. Someone has to do it. The corporations rule the world. They dump toxics, destabilize economies, and commit murder with equal impunity. The government won't stop them. They own the government. The only thing between the corporations and world domination is the media, and that's you. You've got a video cam and a press pass, and you're not afraid to use them. You're a national figure. Seen nightly on million TV sets worldwide, you've got fans, contracts, and your own corporation backing you. They can't make you disappear. When you dig down for the dirt and slime the corrupt officials and corporate lapdogs try to cover up, you can dig deep. The next morning, you can put the details of their crimes all over the scream sheets and vid screens. Then the government has to act. A week ago, you followed a hot lead and discovered a medical corporation dumping illegal drugs on the street. This week, you're uncovering a secret corporate war in South America, a war with jets, bombs, and cyber troops that's killed almost 7,000 innocent people. Each new story you get to the air is one more blow for freedom and justice, not to mention the ratings. It isn't easy. They've tried to pressure your media corp dozens of times. You've had stories suppressed once. Corporate pressure forced them to cancel your news show. Each time, you went to the top, backed by your news director and your crew, and fought to get the story out. 3 or 4 times, they tried to kill you. That's why your backup's a crack solo bodyguard, and you've got one of the top runners in the business digging through the net to back your stories. You have to be good, or else. Your runner's just phoned in with a hot lead. He's found a line on 20 tons of illegal weapons being shifted to a port in Bolivia, possibly nuclear. You grab your gear and flag your backup. You're going to break those bastards. This time, for sure.
Okay, so it's dangerous. Look, I'll tell you something. When I was a kid, I used to watch those reporters on the TV news. They wore those chill trench coats and were always broadcasting from some exotic place, like Mozambique or Saigon. They went right into the Central American war zones with the cyber grunts, and they got the story even when the shooting was maximally fierce. That's the part I like, the danger.
Lyle McCullen, Network 54. Cops, maximum lawmen on the mean 21st century streets. In the old days, they only used to shoot at cops. Now you're lucky if you just take a slug. The street is mean these days, filled with new drugs, new gangs, and new weapons that make an M16 look like a kid's toy. If you're on a city force, you know how bad it is. You're carrying at least 4 high-caliber weapons, most of them full auto types, wearing a Kevlar vest that'll stop 850 feet-pounds per square inch, and you're still outgunned and outflanked. Half the gangs are cyber to begin with, super speed, super reflexes, can see in the dark, carry weapons in their arms. The other half are freelance corporate mercs. Gangs hired by corps to enforce their policies on the street. And there you are, a beat cop or detective in an armored squad car, patrolling the jungle with the heavy predators. The corporate cops, now that's the life. Heavy weapons, full combat armor, trauma team backup, AV-4 assault vehicles, and gyrocopters with miniguns. But they only patrol the sectors of the city that the government licensed them for. The nice, clean sectors full of new office building and fancy restaurants where no jacked up psychopunk is going to ever go on a killing spree with an AK-47. You get the bad sections, burned out buildings and abandoned cars, where every night is a new firefight and another great opportunity for a messy death. If you're really unlucky, you might draw Psycho Squad detail. Psycho Squad guys get the job of hunting down heavily armed and armored cyborgs who flipped out. Sure, the PS guys have access to railguns, gyros, and AVs, but a cyber psycho can walk through machine gun fire and not even feel it. A lot of the Psycho Squad detectives are crazy themselves. They load up with boosted reflexes, get some monstrously huge guns, and go hunt the cyborgs solo. But you're not that crazy. Yet. Drop it, punk! I don't want to hear your life story, and I don't care what society did to you. I just want to see that gun hit the floor, now! Before I give you an extra nostril. Sergeant Max Hammerman, NCPD. Corporates, slick business raiders, and multimillionaires. In the old days, they would have called you a yuppie, a hard-driven, fast-track MBA on his way up to the corporate ladder. Sure, it's selling your soul to the company, but face it, the corporations rule the cyberpunk world. They control governments, markets, nations, armies, you name it. And you know that whomever controls the corporations controls everything else. Right now, your life as a junior executive is anything but easy. There are guys underneath you who'd kill for a shot at your job. There are guys over you who'd kill to keep you out of their jobs. And they're not kidding about the killing. Every up-and-comer in the corporation has his own crew of solos and netrunners to cover his pet projects. Sabotage? Constantly. Bribery? Routine. Blackmail? Common. Promotion by assassination? Always a possibility. The stakes are that high. One slip and you could be out on the street with the rest of the trash. Or dead. And the projects your supervisors give you, some are pretty straightforward. Design a new productivity schedule for the corporate's medical subsidiary. But some are pretty raw. Send a black operations team into the city to spread a designer plague so the marketing team can clean up selling the vaccine. Last week, you led a mixed team of solos, runners, and techies on a headhunting run to kidnap a researcher from a rival company. The week before, your project was to steal plans from a new suborbital shuttle from the Aerospace Agency so that the Aerospace Division could copy the design and sell it to the Soviets. You told yourself you joined the corporation to make it a better place, work from the inside, you said, but now you're not so sure. Your ideals are a little tarnished and things are getting pretty bleak, but you can't worry about ethics right now. You've got a report due in an hour, and it looks like that guy in sales is planning to ice your database for good. You're gonna ice him first. Money? Yeah, I got money. A new BMW Aerodyne and a penthouse flat in the corporate zone. All the money ain't worth frack. You play this game for power, the power to get things done, to make the big decisions, to affect things. You make a cell phone call, and the next thing you know, you're telling the president of some Bush League Euro nation that he'd better play it your way, or he's history. That's why you play. That's why I'm with the company. An unidentified corporate. Fixers, deal makers, smugglers, organizers, and information brokers. You realized fast that you weren't ever going to get a corporate job, and you didn't think you were tough enough or crazy enough to be a solo either. But as a small-time punk, you knew you had a knack for figuring out what other people wanted and how to get it for them. For a price, of course. Now your deals have moved past the nickel and dime stuff into the big time. Maybe you move illegal weapons over the border, or steal and resell medical supplies from the corporations. Perhaps you're a skilled broker, acting as an agent for high-priced solos and runners, or even hiring a whole nomad pack to back a client's contracts. You buy and sell favors like an old-style mafia godfather. You have connections into all kinds of businesses, deals, and political groups. You don't do this directly, of course. No, you use your contacts and allies as a part of a vast web of intrigue and coercion. If there's a hot nightclub in the city, you bought into it. If there are new military-class weapons on the street, you smuggle them in. If there's a corporate war going down, you're negotiating between sides with an eye on the main chance. But you're not entirely in it for the bucks. If someone needs to get that heat off, you'll hide them. You get people housing when there isn't any, and you bring in food when the neighborhoods are blockaded. Maybe you do it because you know they'll owe you later, but you're not sure. You're 1 part Robin Hood and 2 parts Al Capone. Back in the 90s, they would have called you a crime lord, but this is the fragmented, nasty, deadly 2020s. Now, they call you a fixer.
Don't give me this Robin Hood stuff. I'm doing a job, no more. I give people what they want, and they pay me out. Okay, so maybe I even a few scores here and there, but that's good for business. You make a friend, they'll take you in when the street's too hot. And they'll pass you a few bits of data when you call in the markers. But that's business. I got a slogan. How much you pay me?
Phil Nacho Hernandez, fixer. Nomads, road warriors, and gypsies who roam the highways. They drove your family off the farm 10 years ago. The corporations rolled in, took over the land, and put rent-a-cops all over the place. It wasn't the first time it happened. It wouldn't be the last. Gradually, your family fell in with a bunch of other homeless families, and they met another group until you created a nomad pack of nearly 200 members. Now crammed into a huge ragtag fleet of cars, vans, buses, and RVs, your nomad pack roams the freeways. You look for supplies, odd jobs, and spare parts in a world where society is fragmented. The pack is your home. It has teachers, medtechs, leaders, and mechanics. It's virtually a town on wheels in which everyone is related by marriage or kinship. Sometimes the pack pulls into a town just to fuel up or get grub. Other times it swings south to follow the harvest. You pick crops and trade for cash or food. Less law-abiding packs are like mobile armies, terrorizing cities and hiring out muscle in corporate wars. For obvious reasons, the cops don't like nomads. But it doesn't matter. Your vehicles are usually well armored and bristling with stolen weapons. Miniguns, rocket launchers, and the like. Every kid knows how to use a rifle, and everyone packs a knife. Being homeless in the 2000s isn't easy. The most visible members of the pack are the Scouts. Leather-armored riders on bikes or in fast muscle cars, who protect the convoy from attacks and hunt up safe campsites. As a scout, you're on the lookout for trouble, and you usually can find enough of it, with the rival nomad packs, the law, and the corporations all after you. Like a modern-day cowboy, you ride the hard trail. You've got a gun, a bike, and that's all you need. You're a nomad. Guns, guns, and cyber bikes. That's how we hold the line. We don't have any home except the caravan. We don't have any rights except what we take. We get run out of town by the cops. We get raided by the road warrior packs. And we survive because we got guns and bikes. There's kids, old men and women, families here. There ain't no booster gangs. These people are my family. Nomad Santiago. So that was the first introduction to Cyberpunk 2020. My opinion about it is it's a good starting off point, but I think it's really confusing for people who want to learn the system because this isn't where you get the class's like special abilities at. Once you start learning the system and getting into the book, you'll never have to go back to this section again, except for maybe flavor and character inspiration. That's fine. There will be more to come once Section 2 gets read out, but until next time.